Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. Going to get a little deep here today with good reason. And I believe that there's going to be some realization, some epiphanies potentially, maybe better understanding of ourselves, the universe, and lots more. He is a healer, an intuitive. He's also a life coach, hypnotherapist, and an acupuncturist. And we're going to talk about some important things today about your life, our lives, and the mental and the physical aspect of it. Chris Distefano is back with us on the program, our professional of the year. How you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks. How about you, Steve?
Very well, very well. And we've, in past podcasts have dug into reality, the concept of energy, also acupuncture. And where do we begin today?
So the main thing is, this is my acupuncture practice. I hit something the other day and it dovetails with my reality and with the coaching. There's an amazing, I'm going to premise with this. You've heard this before. When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
And I believe that, by the way. I truly, truly, truly do.
You say you do. So we're going to.
That's only based on evidence. I'm not.
But I said I did too. Here's what's amazing. Take that belief,
okay,
and now fully extrapolate it. That means the teaching is always there because that intelligence is always present and ready to give. It's only when we stop resisting that we're ready to receive it.
Completely agree. And sometimes you might look at it in another way where a situation presented itself and you may say, oh, well, I needed it and then it just showed up. And what perfect synergy. There are no coincidences, et cetera, et cetera. Or to your point, it was always there. You just weren't ready for it. Maybe not ready to see it.
We thank God when the good things happened. We also thank with the bad. It's why does this keep happening to me is the same thing as when the student is ready, the teacher appears. It's just looking at a different aspect of the elephant.
Yeah, and
it's
honestly,
the same energetic.
I get you, and I thank you because I never looked at it that way. And there is one particular situation change in my life for the better, for sure, that presented itself a few years ago, and I looked at it as, up until this moment, I looked at it as, oh, well, thank you, universe. You showed up just when I needed you. I needed this support. I needed other things that came along with this one situation. But that's not to say it wasn't always there. And I might have needed to go looking for it, but I didn't look for it because potentially I wasn't ready at that time.
You broke the pattern, reached out, and it all happened at once. I'm just using a generic. So what's pushed me into this is, I do the acupuncture, and I had a patient the other day, and I was doing nutrition testing. So that's muscle testing, applied kinesiology.
Sure.
And it was her first time doing it. And at the end, the arm I was testing, she's like, oh, my shoulder's kind of killing me. I'm like, well, once we get a little more practiced, we'll have a better rapport. Right now, there's a little bit more force than I normally use because we're calibrating. But her shoulder was bothering her. So, you know what? I guess between you, me, and the world, I'm like, what's going on? She's like, well, 8 years ago, I fell, hurt my shoulder. And now I did physical therapy, but it's about the same. And I'm going back to physical therapy, blah, 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 blah. So I took her arm, bent her elbow, put her shoulder up, and then bent her arm back, 90-degree angle. That's a test of the subscapularis muscle, and it tested as tight. So I popped a needle right into that muscle. The muscle released, and she's like, oh my God, the shoulder pain is gone. For the first time in 8 years, belief system shattered. I saw a guy later in the day, comes in for whatever, I help him with whatever. It's like shoulders, neck, whatever, that type of stuff, tight muscles, easy stuff. And then he's like, I hurt my forearm 20 years ago, and I didn't do the physio, because he's foreign, so he says physio. And the articulation of the two bones in the forearm didn't work quite right. So I'm like, you know what? Then this is the end of treatment. We're done. And I said, you know what? Give me a second. I popped a needle into his arm and threaded it between the two bones. That freed up the fascial adhesion. He redid the test that he did 30 seconds earlier, and he had full range of motion. Belief system shattered. So these are like low-level belief systems that we've been told, because doctors are not trained to heal. They're trained to address symptoms. And the body healing is outside of the realm and scope of the typical medical mind. So people are told, well, that's going to be stuck like that because there's not an intervention for it. But the healing capacity of the body is unlimited unless we tell it otherwise. And that's what's really, really cool. So these two people, literally 30 seconds for each of them, boom, shifted decade-long patterns. Because just looking at it differently, working with the body. And this works the same way with our belief systems, because we've been told that the only way to move forward is to heal backwards. That's traditional therapy. How's your relationship with your parents? What about your brother? What about this? And it keeps going and going. But in fact, the present, people would argue that all there is that is true is this moment. Therefore, present consciousness is painting the past and the future as a context. So if we can focus more on what we're growing into, as opposed to what we were, and keep relaying the tracks of pathological stories, which, by the way, that resistance shows up through the body as disease. It shows up in the life as trouble, conflict. All of that stuff stems from deep beliefs. This is a consciousness model of reality, and I can prove it.
Can I share a situation that seems like it's very close and recent? So I went to the chiropractor a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever. You get a little tightness here and there. My friend said, yeah, it's a Groupon. It's a great deal. 2 sessions and an x-ray right up the road from this building. I'm like, all right, what the heck? Let me try it. Nice doctor, good rapport, did an adjustment, went back again for another adjustment. And then I went away and I started feeling, it's like a little tight here. Wow. Maybe it's me carrying, the carry-on or, whatever it might have been. But then I thought a little bit deeper into it. And this is where I want your feedback, your professional feedback. I went away solo for the sole reason, call it a heal, call it a retreat. I went to relax, read, reflect, and I'm guessing that maybe that was trauma related and that was coming up because of where I was and what I was doing. And then actually I had to go back to him again and go back to him again. Seems to have resolved. But I'm thinking it's not just a chiropractic situation. There's more there based on the timing of what I was doing, where I was, and maybe past trauma presented itself. Don't know if that makes sense, but that's the ingredients. What do you think?
So I'd have to be there because it's always multiple layers. So one of the things I warned you about earlier is I'm going to burn some things down. And one of them is the educational system. And the conditioning that we get from media and from everything around us is this emphasis on the physical and the limitations that we have, because those are the challenges we have to overcome. I was just looking, we have our trusted authorities that we're supposed to defer to. They had more retractions since COVID than it's through the roof. So these people are supposed to believe and trust. Anyway, I digress. It's possible. You see, chiropractic, like anything else, I think most practitioners of most modalities, including acupuncture, including coaching, including everything else, do the regular on people and don't necessarily read where the person is strictly. They do what works for most people most of the time. I do that too. That's how I start, because I have to gauge the response of a person. So yes, everything happens perfectly. It's very possible because with a high velocity adjustment, especially if you're prone to hypermobility, if that's an underlying pattern they never check for, that's going to cause an exacerbation, but it happened at the perfect time for you to be processing through it. Because if that muscle is weak or tight, or both, and it gets hyperextended, it's going to go into a state of spasm because it got aggravated. Now, perfect timing, because then you have time to reflect and you're like, okay, now I'm going to work on this and blah, blah, blah. So it's so many different levels, and I don't have enough information to dive in.
I totally got you. And this is like the rock on the surface. I just skimmed the rock and don't know where the rock's going and where it's going to end up. But the release of energy is real, right?
Yes. I have a patient. It's so wild. The way that I work, I can be extremely physical, like the people I described. But then certain people that are a lot more energetically sensitive don't respond well to that. So for them, I might do strictly energy work. And I was working with a patient yesterday, just directing energy through, and she was having the blockages freeing were like twisting her inside like you squeeze a towel. And then there was just this opening and it was flowing freely through her body. So I do that sometimes at the muscle level, sometimes at the energy level, sometimes at the thought level. I have another person who's dealing with, she's not handling or facing certain, as life is throwing certain situations at her, she's pushing them aside and she's having physical manifestations of it. I see that all day, every day.
How do you know that that's what's going on?
Because temporal relationships, it's going to be, when did this start? What was happening concurrent? How have you been processing that? Oh, it's so stressful. I haven't been sleeping. Blah, 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 blah. So it comes down to, where's the resistance? What are we avoiding? And the body starts screaming, if you don't pay attention to me, I'm going to make you pay attention. So I see it through temporal relationships, also looking up certain things. Where are the various energy centers of the body? The lower ones are going to be more the physical, the sexual, the relational, the family. Money is going to be closer to heart. And then you get to third eye, vision, the higher vibration. So it tends to manifest close to where it is on the body. That's sort of where I go with it. I don't hold it strictly. Sometimes a kiss is just a kiss or whatever. I don't always have to read completely into it, but to ignore the relationship, I say I am the Lorax, I speak for the trees, because I'm working to help the person listen to what their body's been trying to tell them for so long.
And I totally get that. And there's different modalities to even identify that. Hypnotherapy. Do you use that a lot to identify what's going on in somebody's mind, in their subconscious?
I use it as, I don't do strict hypnotherapy very often. I use elements of it to connect to the subconscious while we're working. I'm very attentive to the words that are used and the words that I use.
Would you say that's NLP?
There's the NLP aspect of it. It's really interesting because I just ran across a book that I finished on hypnotherapy, which is not going into the trance state. It's essentially using, similar to NLP, being able to communicate more. It's more about feeling where the resistance is and helping people process through it. That's basically what everything is. It's finding a way to get through the conditioning. And this goes back to our educational system. We're trusting these experts, but the experts are spending more and more time being indoctrinated to particular ways of thinking. It's a narrow form of thinking. One of the biggest hazards of medicine is specialization. Why do I say that? I see people that are on drugs from every doctor they see. Nobody's seen if the drugs interact with each other. Nobody's looking. So I'm going to use an example of heel spurs or plantar fasciitis. Now, people who've suffered from it know exactly what I'm talking about. People who haven't, it's basically like when you step down, especially getting out of bed, someone's sticking a knife into your heel. And it's the plantar fascia, the tough fiber on the bottom of the foot is developing micro tears and inflammation, et cetera, et cetera. So what do? I'm going to go see a podiatrist because there's a problem with my foot. What is a podiatrist going to do? Recommend either a lift, which is going to take some of the pressure off, or maybe do cortisone shots. What's the real problem? There's tightness in the calves or higher up along that line that are pulling down to the plantar fascia. But that specialist is never going to look that high. So your problem will never get directly addressed because only your symptom is looked at because of specialization.
Can I share something with you that's related again?
I would love this. Yes.
Okay.
Please.
It was exactly 15 years ago. I'm talking exactly to this day. I just had that realization. Not making that up. I'm always very transparent. Went up into the attic. Was getting my boogie board. Was going to go to the beach. The attic is located in the house at that time in the garage. So I'm coming down, slipped, fell down, rode the stairs all the way down. Pretty nasty road rash coming down, on the stairs, and my foot impacted on the cement floor. Didn't break anything. Ouch, hurt a little bit. I'm all good, whatever. I don't think I went boogie boarding after that, but a few days later, I get a wart. I bring this up because you're talking about feet. I have a wart. Never had in my life. What's going on? Got bigger, uncomfortable, podiatrist. He does a little whatever, doesn't resolve it. Go back again. He does a little whatever he does. I still have it. It's just uncomfortable. Go back the third time. I'm like, doctor, what can we do? He goes, I've done everything I can do. I'm like, oh, okay. Now what? And he said, just will it to go away. I'm like,
I like this guy.
What? He goes, will it to go away? It'll go away. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm paying this guy a copay, and this is what I'm getting. He goes, just you focus on it in your mind, and you want it to go away. I'm like, okay, thank you. And I leave. So I do that. And I'm just focusing, when I'm driving, like, I need you to go away. You're not supporting me. It's discomfort. 3 days later, it was gone.
Yeah.
I can't make that up.
It's phenomenal, the power of the mind. And all of medicine and science has tried to pretend the placebo is not real. If we can start leveraging that power of our mind toward healing, not just having it happen incidentally, but begin to access that, that's a hypnotherapy, that's everything else. But it's really the belief systems that are underneath it. Once we face those habitual patterns and begin to let them go. So I ran across the most amazing thing last night. Hit me like a ton of bricks. What I do is help people with what I'd call reality conduction or conducting, because there's so many different definitions for the word conductor and carries the electricity, blah, blah, blah. But when we think about it, everything, the conductor stands apart from the musicians and does direction, but cannot touch them. It's a lot like an atom has the center and then everything around it. And the center conducts what goes on around it without touch. And he has to know, or she has to know, that every musician knows their part and has to blindly do the waving of the arms and all this stuff, knowing with full faith and trust that it will be executed and reflected back. And that's manifestation. That's how we live. That's reality, echoing it back to us as we conduct, we intend. That's actually my resolution to the free will argument.
So you're saying that when you put something out into the universe, if the energy vibration is accurate, it comes right back to you.
There's time delays depending on what we're doing, depending on how high, the higher the vibration of the person doing it, the faster the reflection. We've all had that. The happier the state, that's a higher vibration. It's going to come back a lot faster. And these are negative and positive, and these are what we hold at deep levels of subconscious. Again, these are our belief systems get reflected back to us. And so your belief system, I'm going to get rid of this wart, all of a sudden became that, and it reflected back 3 days later. And the thing with a conductor, the conductor can't go around and keep touching all the instruments or else they're not going to play any music. We have to be able to intend and then let it go and have it come back. And it's a dance.
Let's say you want certain things in life we manifest. I have my vision board right on the wall. Why don't those things materialize? Is it there are limiting beliefs deep-seated and it's blocking it, and you don't even realize it? It's happening. You might look at you want this, you want that, you feel you deserve something, but the vibration is First word that's coming to my mind is corrupt. It's not a clean vibration to get a reflection back. Is that why those things don't happen in terms of manifestation?
You kind of nailed it. I'm going to use different words. If it is coming from the head and there is not a heart connection to it, there's no vibration. It's noise.
Okay.
There's a great book, As a Man Speaketh, older book. There's also work by Neville Goddard that talks about this. If you're praying from the mouth and from the head, there's no prayer. That's noise. You're making static. Once we have an emotion tied in, even what we'd call a negative emotion, provides amplification and propagation. It's kind of, I'm diving a little bit into dimensionality, because when we add that other factor, we're literally applying another dimension. When you think about what a dimension is, you have, a flat plane that's two-dimensional, and now you add another factor. All of a sudden, you're going upward. You have 3 dimensions. Now you're going through time. You have 4 dimensions. Now it's folding on itself and creating these energy vortexes. So the power increase when we start to add the component of connecting to the heart is not quantifiable to the regular mind. We are in a consciousness model of reality. And everything we're told, you see, science, I get in fight with science because science says we cannot prove or disprove the existence of higher intelligence. So we're going to pretend it's not there. Now that just destroys the scientific method. Let's take the Big Bang. All of a sudden there's this marble that we don't know where it came from. It explodes. Now you have rocks flying around. Somehow fusion starts. I'm willing to let the whole thing slide. And then you have this rock that we'll call a planet. Lightning hits a few rocks. They self-assemble and say, hey, I'm awake. I have a hard time with that part because it's violating the law of entropy. There's the implication of underlying intelligence prior to that act happening. But we all just gloss it over and say, oh, yeah, that's what the expert said.
Who are these experts? And I say that, loosely. However, it also applies to medical experts. There's a place for Western medicine, all good. You have an issue, you go to, your primary, you get a med when you need it, whatever. Not taking that away. But we are so programmed. And as you said, treating the symptoms. And what does it lead back to? Money. Big pharma.
Money, power.
Yeah.
It's really about power and control. Money is a tool that's used. It's about power and control and disempowering us. What we are is infinitely more than we're told we are. And as we wake up to it, that's where freedom steps in.
We have the power.
And we always have, but we didn't believe it.
Right.
So that's kind of the game. And you know what? It became crystal clear during COVID when everyone was lying. And it was demonstrable. And they were lying because they've had to retract it all now. And then they're like, we're moving at the speed of science. They were making excuses. And we all see it in the world now. Incompetence has become institutionalized. Good luck calling anything for support. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, I got lost. I got this. We handle insurance billing in my office. The insurance billing is abysmal. No one takes accountability. They lose things. They never receive things that I know are mailed. They lie incessantly and blame it on incompetence because that's become normalized.
I 1 billion times a billion % agree.
Everyone out there agrees. There's no accountability.
But I know. And what are you going to do about it? Yeah, I was on the phone with an insurance company every day this week so far, trying to resolve an issue, trying to get a refund for almost $1,000 they took from me. And every time the representative has a different story, I'm like, well, but wait a minute. How did the last one I talked to have certain information that you don't have? Certain
They're
dates.
all lying.
It's so frustrating. Yeah.
So, but that's it. It's really, so what does this do? This is what's left is I can work on me and what am I learning from this and how am I growing and what am I going to do to still perform at my best and give the best that I can.
Thank
be
you.
the best that I
Thank you for realization today. And the one thing that really rings true for me, it's got to be felt with the heart. Yeah, vision board on the wall when I look. I think that would be nice. No, it's got to be felt from the heart. That I can feel that resonates with me. You have two different ways that you help people: acupuncture in Scarsdale, and then also you're available on the coaching level anywhere. It can be done virtually. What are the websites we find yet, Chris?
ScarsdaleHealth.com, level3coaching.org.
Spelled out 3.
Spelled
right?
out.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yes.
Great talking with you today.
Always a pleasure, Steve.
I know it gets deep, but it's for a good reason.
And the vision board. Feel it in every sense you possibly can. The more real it is, the more your vibration is going to echo out and back. That conductor is going to be doing all the instruments, the piano, the violin, the drums, all of them are going to play.
After a while, it becomes wallpaper. So then you're not feeling it. When you first put it, I feel it. Wow, yeah. And then after a while, it's like, it's up there. I'm thinking about it. Got to take a different approach. Thank you for today. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Steve.
Likewise. We'll be right back.
All right.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.